Hello ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence. Welcome back to another video. I sincerely appreciate your viewership and your support to this channel. It means a lot to me. And in today's episode, I am happily going to be going over my top 10 favorite niche perfumes for the summer of 2019. So please make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin the video, I do want to extend an apology to my subscribers. I know a lot of my subscribers prefer that I put out a video like this either in the beginning of the summer or prior to the start of the summer, just so they can have recommendations on what fragrances they should be out on the lookout for so that they can wear them throughout the season. I know I'm a little bit late in delivering this video, but truth be told, some of the fragrances in this list only came out about a month ago. And so had I done that video, say in April or May or something like that, there certainly would have been a lot of fragrances in this list that were not included in this list. And I also can say that this is going to be a more accurate list because I found myself wearing a lot of these fragrances, some of which I actually featured in other lists on my channel. So with that being said, I do want to go ahead and get it started, but I also want to disclose that this video is made in collaboration with ScentSplit. They are the paid sponsors of this video. ScentSplit is an amazing company to work with. They have decants of a lot of really hard to find niche fragrances. They also have some designer fragrances as well. They have really good prices, very fast shipping. I'm going to leave all the information down below. Definitely make sure to check them out. And I've been using them for many years. I started off as a customer and now we have a bit of a partnership going on. So I want to give a very special thank you to Shaheen over at ScentSplit. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start. This is my list. These are just fragrances that I have in my collection. And the one that I'm going to start things off with is a fragrance that I actually acquired a couple years ago, believe it or not, and this is by Tiziana Terenzi and it's called Orion. I know a lot of people out there have some familiarity with this fragrance and this company. This one is said to have the Aventus gene, and I can totally see what people are talking about in regards to that. However, I think the difference with this one is that it's a much woodsier version of Aventus, and perhaps the sweeter nuances on account of that pineapple note are not as amplified. So it's a little bit more woodsy, more masculine. I'm not going to say more refined because I think Aventus is very refined, but I personally really enjoy wearing this one. Also, if any of these fragrances are available on scentsplit.com, I'm going to leave links for them down below. And I also want to mention that some of these fragrances are not available on scentsplit.com, and that's because the owner of the company insisted that I do a very organic and honest video featuring some fragrances that he doesn't even carry. So let's move on. Number 9 on my list is a fragrance that came out, of course, some time ago. And those of you who have been watching this channel, you probably know that this is one that I personally love. I've even featured it, if I'm not mistaken, in my 2018 list for the niche for the summer. And this one by Amouage, I've really worn a lot of this one, is called Beach Hut Man. So this has the ivy, it has the mossy qualities, it has a little bit of that mint note in here that really brightens up the composition. And of course, citrus, mint, and aquatics are the types of fragrances that one wants to wear in the summertime. There are some that I really wanted to include in this list, like Squid by Zoologist, which is in the top left corner there in the blue box. But of course, that one has this sort of ambery and vanillic base that, although I can see it being worn on summer nights, it's the type of fragrance where, as unique and creative as it is, it's not as fresh and it's not as uplifting and as bright, but it is salty, and so it kind of goes in that marine direction. I digress. Let's move on. Number 8 on this list is a fragrance that I personally love, and it's by the company Atelier des Soeurs, and this one is called Crépuscule des Âmes. This one also has a mature vibe about it. It has a green undertone that I really appreciate, but it also comes across very bright and clean. And of course, this is sort of inspired by the blank slate or the tabula rasa, which is why a lot of them are found in the white cap. And so they have that entire collection of fragrances that are meant or intended to be a little bit on the lighter side. Number 7 on this list is a fragrance that I featured in at the number 1 spot on my aquatic list, and this one is by Amarud and it's called Whetstone. This is the best and the most wearable aquatic fragrance on the market to date. I have smelled a lot of them. Number 2 spot would have gone to Healy's Sol Marron, but this one has a wearable quality that Sol Marron does not have. So this one has that sort of masculine, woodsy, driftwood sort of a vibe, whereas Sol Marron smells a little fishy, overly salty and overly oceanic. So some might even go as far as saying that's the more authentic, but this is the more wearable. I'm going to wear the one that's a bit more wearable. So getting into my number 6 fragrance on this list, this one is another recent acquisition of mine, and I love that it's a blue scent with a bit of spiciness as well. It's the type of bright and citrusy scent that lends itself to lighter wearings, but it's not a light scent at all. But it's the type of fragrance that conveys a light and a blue feel without necessarily compromising quality and performance. This one by Chris Collins is called Tokyo Blue. I wore this one maybe it was 3 or 4 days in a row. And that's because there was just something about this one that I couldn't quite pick up the smell of. And I'm convinced that there's something in here like a spicy note. I still can't quite put my finger or my nose on it, but it goes without saying that I really, really enjoyed Tokyo Blue by Chris Collins. Getting into the top 5 now, these are the best of the best. Some of these you've actually heard me speak on my channel before. I've spoken about pretty much all of them except for this one. And so a lot of these are fragrances that I have been enjoying for a long time, and you got to keep it real. These are just fragrances that I love. And the next one I've also mentioned on my channel, and I've actually featured in another list. I can't quite remember which one it is now, but this one by the company Xerjoff is called Udon Overdose. So this one is supposed to be like an intense version of the original Udon, which was found in the Shooting Stars collection. This one has a very bright and uplifting citrus overtone, and it is a quite amazing fragrance composed by Chris Carbonell, who is pretty much the in-house perfumer for Xerjoff. He has done many of their fragrances, and I really appreciate his artwork. I appreciate how hard he works, and I appreciate how creative and talented he is as a perfumer. Definitely fresh, but it has a lasting power in there that can actually be worn on a night out, or it will last you throughout the entire day. The number 4 spot is a fragrance that I have spoken about too much on this channel. And this is one that I really genuinely love, and so I'm going to continue to speak about it. This one by Eau d'Italie is called Acqua Decima. This fragrance was composed by Alberto Morillas. It is one of his best fragrances, I would venture to say, and it is a mojito type of a scent. What I like about this one in comparison to the Xerjoff counterpart, which is called 1861 Renaissance, that one I've also been familiar with for many, many, many years. The Xerjoff counterpart is a bit more polished as opposed to this one, which is a bit more raw, unfiltered, unadulterated. And I always say this: if you sprayed this on inside an empty cup, like a solo cup, somebody will be convinced that somebody just finished drinking a mojito from that cup. It is so authentic. It is so organic. If you haven't tried it yet, what are you waiting for? Give it a shot. I'm sure you'll love it. The next one on this list is one that, again, I've had for a few years now. I'm so happy to have this one in my collection, and I have worn this one quite a lot this summer. There was also an event at Bergdorf Goodman, and Roja Dove, the perfumer, was there, and I actually brought this bottle, and he was happy to sign it for me. So very special thank you to Roja Dove for signing this bottle and taking about a half hour of his time to talk to me. I can't tell him how much I appreciate that gesture. And this one is called Elysium. This is probably the brightest and the freshest fragrance that I've ever put my nose on. It definitely has this bright, fresh, clean, ozonic opening, really natural bergamot note that's utilized in here. There's a level of complexity, and it's done on a niche level unlike no other fragrance that I've smelled before. Love Elysium by Roja Parfum. And of course, there are 2 concentrations. The cologne version is in the blue bottle. I have the stronger concentration of the 2. The number 2 spot is a fragrance that, in full disclosure, despite the fact that I sampled this one for the first time last year, I remember really liking it, but it wasn't until the past month or so that I actually acquired a bottle, and I've been wearing it a lot. Just the combination of ingredients works so well on my skin, and there's also an unusual component about it that one has never really quite thought of, but it works so well in harmony with all of the ingredients in here. And this one by The Gate Paris is called Oud Tonic. So this is basically a gin and tonic with oud. The lasting power on this one is incredible. The freshness sustains itself many, 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 many hours into the dry down. If you're looking for an exceptionally long-lasting scent, a bright, fresh, sparkling sort of a scent in the opening that dries down to a very wearable and agreeable and friendly agarwood note. Look no further than Oud Tonic from the Caravan collection that this fragrance is featured in. This is the most wearable one. There's also one called Pure Oud Diction that has a very strong cannabis note. Of course, that to me comes across as a bit more of a novelty scent, but this one is so wearable, so likable. I wore it all throughout my trip to Spain when I went to Marbella in Puerto Banús, and I just love it. It reminds me of vacation now. And the number one fragrance on this list is number one on this list for two different reasons. Well, actually, three different reasons. One, I know how much work went into creating this fragrance. I actually hosted an event with the perfumer behind the scent, who is a master perfumer, has many, many, many fragrances under his belt and many decades of experience under his belt as well. He actually gave me a privileged glimpse into a lot of the raw materials that go into this one. I've even had the opportunity to interview him on my channel. The second reason why I'm featuring this in the number one spot is because it's a very sentimental fragrance to me. It has a lot of herbal and aromatic ingredients in here that remind me of my country in which I've spent many years living. And the third reason why I'm featuring this in the number one spot is because, and you will see by the level of the juice in the bottle, this is the one that I have worn the most of this entire summer. This one by Parfum de Marly is called Sedley. And you can pretty much see how much I've worn of this. I've worn maybe about 20 to 25 milliliters. I love this fragrance. You have the mint, you have the bright citrus, you have the Ambrox Super, you have the rosemary, you have a touch of incense in there, which is so unique. A little bit of geranium, if I'm remembering correctly. This is such a bright, uplifting, invigorating type of a scent. My wife loves this one too. Every single time I wear it, she says, "Oh, you're wearing that one that I like." And there are not many fragrances from the house of Parfum de Marly that my wife likes, but this is one that she goes gaga over. It's the nature of the composition. It's very fresh, it's very bright, very fulfilling, very aromatic. And the thing with this one too is it's so easy to wear, and I have to be honest, I am the victim of olfactory fatigue. I actually met up with somebody who happened to be wearing this fragrance recently. I went in, I gave them a little hug, and I said, "Wow, you smell good." And he replies, "Oh, really? You can still smell it? I sprayed it on at 6:30 this morning." And I said, "Yeah, I could still smell it." And this was way past noon. And so he wasn't able to smell it. He thought it had disappeared. I was still able to smell it on his body or his skin or whatever. The longevity is not as good as other Parfum de Marly fragrances. I will remain transparent in saying that, but this is also a fragrance that you will become the victim of olfactory fatigue with. Number one spot, Sedley by Parfum de Marly. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. These have been my top 10 favorite summer niche fragrances for 2019. If you are new to this channel and you took something of value from this video, I would love it if you could support what I do. It's easy and it's free. All you need to do is click that red subscribe button in the corner down there. And this way, whenever I do upload future fragrance related content, it'll get delivered straight to your feed. You never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads. And of course, once again, I would also like to give a very sincere and heartfelt thank you to ScentSplit for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate your support of the Redolessence channel and what I have been doing for the past 7+ years, over 1,100 videos on this channel. Thanks again for watching. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.